How you doing? Welcome back. My name is Rick and this is Winder's Ranger. Thought we would do a quick, guess we'll call it an update video on the mini split air conditioner install. Tested it out in the last video. I've run it a couple of times since then. It works good. You know, I was having an issue cooling the back bedroom here, and the garage where the outdoor unit is currently installed still getting a little bit warm. So since the last video, we've done a couple of other upgrades. They were things that I wanted to do anyway, like install a high flow fan. The fan in the bathroom here, which I'll show you in a minute, is a fantastic fan, and the fan that I replaced in the garage, or in the back here, is a Max Air, I think it's a Max Air Plus fan. It's a little more pricey than I wanted to spend on one, but nevertheless, it needed to be done, and I can't reach the fan in the garage, so it had to be the remote controlled one. So today what we need to do is we're going to get some trim, and I'll show you why I need the trim for the Max Air fan here. And I also have to get some supports or legs for the outdoor unit, because I cut the vent door, or the door that thing exhausts out of, I cut it a little bit too high. So I flipped the door over, I took the louvers out. It's still getting a little warm back there, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick that air conditioner up. It's got to come up another 4 or 5 inches, and see if we can get a better, a cleaner airflow where the fan is lined up to the door so it can blow outside with no obstructions. Right now, the bottom of the fan, or the bottom portion of the airflow of the fan, is hitting the door and it's reflecting back. So we're going to try to pick that up, aim it more out of the hole there, and push that thing closer to the wall and see if that doesn't take care of some of the issue. I may even get some foam pipe insulation, the round stuff, and put that around the fan so it can seal up against the wall there, and maybe get a little better avenue for the air to go out through the hole. But let me turn the camera around. I'll show you both of these fans, and I'll show you what we're going to do, and then we'll head to the store and get what we need. So this is the fantastic fan in the bathroom, and this is the trim that it came with. As you can see, the trim doesn't go all the way to the roof. And you might also notice that something's not level, whether it's the ceiling or the roof, I don't know. There is a bit of a curve to the roof, so that might account for this, but this is pretty much right in the middle of the roof, so I don't know why it's closer to one end and not the other. But anyway, I had this same issue when I put one of these in my old RV. The trim piece doesn't quite go. It should fit up inside this little, there's a little groove right here, and this trim should fit up inside there and hide behind that. As you can see, that doesn't fit. And in the old RV, I actually doubled up the butyl tape on the outside, so this was sitting just a little bit higher, and I thought, well, that's probably why that didn't fit, was because I doubled up the butyl tape. In this application, I didn't do that. I put one layer of butyl tape around the edge, and then set the fan on, screwed it down, and then put the lap sealant over top of that, the die-core. And you can see that doesn't fit. So I thought, well, that's okay. I'll just use the old flashing piece, the old trim piece that came out with the original fan, and just put that in here. The problem with that is the corners of this and the corners that this fits up in are more square than the original piece. The original piece had a more radius corner here, so they don't fit. The old one didn't fit, and I can't make it work. So what I'm going to do is when I go to the store, I'm going to get some either some plastic, white plastic, or maybe, I know they make like a synthetic white trim, something that'll cover this gap, and put that up inside there, and then we'll just trim that myself. I'll have to work around things like the fuse knob, the button here, and as soon as the light, move the camera here, this knob, I gotta have room to turn this, so I'll have to trim the trim to allow room for the knob to turn. So we'll head to the store, we'll see what they've got, we'll put that in. This is all manual control. It was a little bit cheaper that way to offset the more expensive cost of the other fan, and plus I can reach this one, but oops, got to be open here, hold on. There we go. So, and that's on the first setting. It draws the air out pretty good. It's a lot better than the little tiny fan that was in here originally. And this is setting number 1. That's 2. There's 3. So it does pretty good. It draws a lot of air. I already knew that with the fan that I put in the old RV. I knew it was a decent fan. So as far as whether or not a Max Air fan is better than a Fantastic fan, this one being the Fantastic fan, I guess we'll find out. Of course, these aren't exactly comparing apples and apples, because this one has got a lot more manual type knobs in it than the Max Air fan does. But we'll walk back there and we'll take a look at that one real quick. So there's the Max Air fan. You might also hear the washer machines going right now. But the Max Air fan has a bunch of like push buttons up here in the corner. They're really nothing too fancy. It's just a kind of a plastic overlay over top of a little button. It's not the greatest quality, I don't think. I did like that this fan, the way that it's attached, or it hangs the motor in there, seemed a little bit more of a better quality, I thought. But the motor in this one is smaller around, so that may have some bearing as far as which one of these is a better quality fan. The Fantastic fan, the motor is definitely bigger than what this one is. Let's see if we can pick it up here. This one, I also liked that there are 2, you can see right there, there's 2 lifting levers to the door, where the Fantastic fan only has 1. I never really noticed an issue with opening the fan for the Fantastic fan in the old RV, so I don't anticipate there ever really being an issue in this one. The other thing I might add, we'll move so this can pick it up here, is the trim piece fits in this one. Now, I don't think the ceiling is quite as thick in the garage here as what it is in the bathroom, or in the living space. The living space, I think the ceiling is just a little bit thicker, has a little bit more insulation than it does here in the garage. So anyway, both the fans are in, they work. I still got to put the vent covers on the roof. We've got a little bit of rain today and a storm coming. I'd kind of like to get it done before the storm. But since it's already raining, I guess we'll run to the store anyway, pick up what we need and come back. It's probably going to kill today as far as getting anything done with the rain. So with that, let's get everything together. We'll run to the store and we'll pick up the trim and various things that we need. Alright, so it's the next day. Made our trip to the hardware store. We got some trim, some other different things. Had a couple of other projects. One was the border trim underneath where I mounted the mini split. There was originally a foam, probably a headboard or like a bump there in case you were to hit your head or something. Had to replace that, and I put some trim on the Fantastic fan in the bathroom to kind of cover up that gap that's in there from where the flashing piece that came with the fan doesn't quite fit or doesn't continue all the way to the fan itself. We raised the the outdoor unit. We raised that up and we pushed it up against the wall to see if we could get the temperature down inside the garage there. That actually worked out pretty good. I'll show you that in a minute. But let's walk up into the bathroom. I'll show you the trim up there and a couple of things that we're doing there. You can see I've got the fan running right now. I'm running the mini split and we're trying out different fan combinations to see how we can manage the temperature during the day. But I don't know, it's not my best trim work, but it works. It covers up the gap. I probably should have mitered the corners. I didn't do that. I just cut 90-degree angles and fit everything together that way. I don't know, it works. It looks okay. So let's walk down and I'll show you the trim under the mini split, and then we'll go out into the garage. So there's the indoor unit. Set at 76. You can see the little LED over here. I got the fan turned up. It's not on turbo. There's, let me see, 1, 2, 3. There's 4 settings if you count turbo. It's at the 3rd setting right now, which is the highest one just under turbo. So that's all the louder it is. You can actually hear the fan, the Fantastic fan up in the bathroom more than you can this thing. But anyway, this border trim down here, I had to replace that, but the pine boards that I put up where the mini split is mounted stick out a little bit. They come out about a ½ inch or so. So this border didn't fit properly anymore. So what I did is I got a piece of like kick molding or something like that. I painted it black, and it kind of stood out a little bit more, so I mounted that molding underneath of this, and then I screwed this on top of it, and it looks okay. It pretty much goes back to looking the way it did before I started monkeying around with it. I think it kind of makes that space look pretty decent. You can't quite see the trim that I put up here. It's a little bit dark right now, but I'll throw a still photo in here, kind of give you a before and an after of what this looked like. But let's move out into the garage and I'll show you what's going on there. Okay, so here's the outdoor unit. It's pushed up tight against the wall. I got a couple of things of the foam. They look kind of like pool noodles, but they're a little bit smaller. You can kind of see a dark one here, and there's actually a pool noodle stuck in there. I couldn't quite get the radius. I couldn't get it to stay in there without, you know, permanently attaching it, and I didn't want to do that just yet. But I've got the pipe insulation runs all the way around the fan. It's pushed up tight against the wall, and that gets a nice good seal. So now the fan on the other side of the mini split is drawing like it should, and it's pushing out of that compartment door like it should. I raised it up. The 4x4s on the floor here on the bottom, they're not quite 4x4, they're like 3.5, and then another 5 inches on top of that, so just a couple of 2x4s screwed together, and that picked it up off the floor. I actually kind of like the way it sits right now. It lines up to the door. I mean, it would have been better if the door was lower and the thing could have just sat on the floor and I didn't have to do all this extra stacking up of the wood and cribbing and whatnot, but it works. It's functional, and it's got the temperature inside the room down because it's drawing air across from this window here. So I keep the window open and it's pulling the air through at a pretty good rate. I need to come up with something here to keep the rain out, because just the window open alone, if we get a heavy rain, which we get almost every day in Florida in the summertime, that's going to all come in and it's going to go right down on the back of the washer dryer combo that I've got sitting right here. So I don't want that. So I got to come up with some kind of a way to keep the rain out but not inhibit the airflow coming in. The other issue that I ran this last night, and back here, you know, there's high humidity in Florida, so having this much air drawing through here, this makes this more of an outdoor space now. So I don't know that I really care for that a whole lot, but there's not really any way around it if I continue to use this the way it is. The only other option is to mount this thing outside or enclose this space and come up with some kind of a way to vent that to outside. Maybe I put a vent on the wall here and some and it gets kind of elaborate. I don't know that I want to get into all this, but if I put a vent on the wall, an air intake that can pull air in, direct it into the back of this, and then blow it right back out, that's an option. Like I said, I don't know that I really want to get into all that. Kind of thought I would just build a box around this and then have like an air intake on this side, a screen or something like that, where it can draw air in basically from this indoor space and from the fan here in the ceiling. But that 14-inch hole, I guess common sense would tell you that a 14-inch hole isn't going to give you the same airflow that you're getting out of a 24 by 24 inch hole. So I don't know, I got to give it some more thought and see. I'm still kind of testing to see if I can get the inside temperature the way I want it, mainly up in the bedroom. We also mounted the Max Air Fan controller there on the wall. It actually makes or gives you a thermometer reading. I'll give you a demonstration of that real quick. So you got the fan up here in the ceiling, and you got the remote, so we could do these two buttons here. You got auto, which automatically opens and closes the fan based on whatever inside temperature I set this at. So right now it's set at 80 degrees. The inside temperature is at 89 degrees, which is a whole hell of a lot better than 115 degrees that it was the other day. I can increase the fan speed. Really can't see that all that great. Increase it up to 70%. It's actually blowing air in right now to assist with the window being open. I keep it right around 30%. It's got when you push the button for on and off, it'll automatically shut the fan off and close the lid, or automatically turn the fan on and open the lid. And these buttons here, the plus and minus, that increases or decreases the temperature setting at which that automatically opens and closes. So it reads an inside temperature at 80 degrees. If I had it set to auto, it'll open the fan. If it drops below 80 degrees, then it'll automatically turn off and close the fan. So it also has a button here, the same as the Fantastic fan, has a switch on it where you can change the fan from air intake to exhaust. So it's pulling air in or blowing air out, and of course open or close the lid. So we just mounted that here on the wall, so I figured that's about as good a place as any to read the inside temperature and have easy access if I want to open or close the fan lid. So let's step back inside and talk about a few other things here. I ran the mini split last night and I turned it down. I got up middle of the night and I had it at 75, I think, and I turned it down again to 74. And I noticed that the floor, and I've noticed this a couple times, so I don't know if it's just the way that I've got this thing set, or if it's the application that I'm doing, or the way this particular trailer is built. I don't know, but I think it may be a combination of those things. But the floor was a little bit sticky, almost like it was damp, like a high humidity in the air. And this thing has a dehumidifier function, but the dehumidifier function won't allow you to adjust the fan speed, so it'll blow at the lowest fan setting, and it's really not quite enough to get the cool air up into the bedroom where I need it, when I'm up there sleeping. So the air temperature with the fan speed set on high kept the temperature up there between that and the fan in the bathroom. I kept the temperature. The other thing that I'm noticing with the Max Air fan is the way this trailer's set up. The Max Air fan draws so much air that there's a vent underneath the TV here where I did I got access to where the vent pipe was. I did a video on that a while ago, and I think that's set up to run, or to allow cool air to kind of gradually sink through that open space and then get into where the electronics are, the disconnect switch, the inverter, stuff like that. I think that's what that's there for. I put a filter, like a paper filter there, to kind of slow down the airflow and just to kind of keep out any little bugs or critters that try to, because it's not sealed at all. You get down into that crawl space and you could eventually find your way right outside. Small cracks and openings and things. This trailer is not sealed very well at all, which I guess is typical. But the Max Air fan draws so much air and it pulls it out of that vent underneath the TV. So it's bringing warm air in. The original idea was to get the cool air here, use the Max Air fan, kind of pull it up into the bedroom. It does, but it doesn't do it quite as efficient as what I would like it to. So I've got a second smaller fan up in the bedroom right now, kind of circulating the air. One, the bedroom insulation is not the greatest, and the afternoon and into the evening, that's where the sun is, and the way my trailer is positioned right now. So it stands to reason that's going to be the hotter space, and it's the furthest away from the mini split. So that gives it a challenge to try to get that cool air up there. Issue number two, back to the humidity thing, the floor, the air coming in through the compartment door or the vent here underneath the TV, the insulation that's in the floor versus the cold air that's coming out of the mini split. I'm thinking that has something to do with why the floor felt a little damp. Maybe I'll try, once I get the temperature, I just changed over for the video filming from the rooftop air conditioners back to the mini split so I could actually talk and you can hear me. But once I get the temperature down in here, I may switch over to the dehumidifier and just let that run. Let it run for the day, and then this evening we'll see what the temperature is in the bedroom. A low humidity, things tend to feel cooler, even if the ambient temperature is 80 or 90 degrees, but if there's no humidity in the air, it's going to feel, I don't know, 5 or 10 degrees cooler than what it actually is. So we got all the trim work done. The mini split works. One other thing, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier. I tried to run the generator and see if it would run this mini split. It does not. So I need to do a little more research. I would have thought a 5,500 kW generator would run this. So I don't know if it has something to do with the way that I installed the breaker. The generator supplies the breaker panel, and the breaker for the mini split is in the breaker panel, so it should at least get power. and I would think that if it couldn't run it, it would trip the breaker. That didn't even happen. It acted like it didn't even have power. So I've got to see what's going on there. A little bit more testing and research is needed. But everything is installed. It runs as long as we're hooked up to shore power. It runs good. Cools the bedroom. It's okay. It's not the greatest. You know, a 2-zone mini split would have probably have been better. I would like it to work on the generator, so if I decide to go off grid someplace and there's no power, I'd still have air conditioning. Still got to figure that out. So anyway, as far as this video goes, there's the latest update. We've got a little bit more work to do. Got a storm coming this weekend. I've got to work, so there's probably nothing going to happen with the mini split here in the next few days anyway. I may run it off and on just to kind of see. But we got the vent covers up on the roof. We got everything tightened up there, and so everything is, yeah, we'll mark it up as a success. There's a few minor little bugs and things, a couple little things that I didn't anticipate, but other than that, it works pretty good. Other than, these minor issues. So I'll keep plugging away, and if I get anything that's I figure out some of these other issues, the rain issue with the window, if I get some of that taken care of, I'll definitely make an update video. So I appreciate you watching, appreciate you coming along on this series and in this install. It's definitely been a challenge, but it's doable, and this is proof that it can happen. You can make it work in a fifth wheel, putting the indoor unit inside. It's not ideal, but it does work. So thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. That keeps you up to date on new videos and things that we've got coming up in the future. And that thumbs up, that also helps get this video out on the platform, so the more interaction that we get and get this out so people can actually see it and watch it, and maybe it'll help somebody else. So again, thanks for watching, and we will see you all on the next video.